and welcome to a very special episode of Frankly Speaking. And tonight, my guest is somebody who has taken off the onerous task of trying to decipher a man who was part of the freedom struggle, yet a man who is seen as divisive and till today echoes in the political ecosystem in India. The man called Veer Savarkar, and author of Savarkar, Echoes from a Forgotten Past, being his first book, Vikram Sampath, now coming out with volume 2, Savarkar, A Contested Legacy, talking about Savarkar's life and times between 1924 and 1966. Thank you very much, Vikram Sampath, for joining me on Frankly Speaking. And I want to begin from the point where we left off the last book. And I want to ask you, Rahul Gandhi has come out in the past and said, I am not Rahul Savarkar. I will not apologize for telling the truth. This is when he talked about Savarkar apologizing to come out of jail and therefore contesting the fact that he was actually somebody who could be called a freedom fighter. Why do you think Vikram Savarkar till date, does evoke a lot of divisive reactions coming up from the political spectrum, Vikram Sampath?
Hi Navika, always a great pleasure talking to you, and thank you for having me on your show. Savarkar, as I've always maintained, has been a very, very contentious figure. His legacy is something that is contested, and that's why the subtitle of the book too is named so. You mentioned Rahul Gandhi. His own grandmother, the former Prime Minister of India, Srimati Indira Gandhi, the senior most Congress leader, on Savarkar's death in 1966 had gone on to praise him as a very symbol of patriotism and courage, and his role in the annals of Indian freedom struggle was something that was very, very unique and special. She also got a fund in his name, got a stamp released for him. A documentary film was made by the Information and Broadcasting Ministry then. So I think the Congress party now needs to re-evaluate why one of their tallest leaders was actually then eulogizing, a supposedly or alleged stooge, a British collaborator, an assassin of Mahatma Gandhi, an Islamophobe, and all these epithets that are, thrown at Savarkar. In my assessment, Navika, I think in the 60s and 70s, the Hindu nationalist parties or the so-called right wing was a fringe element. The Jan Sangh was, hardly, very active. The BJP was not even born. So the Congress and its leadership was a little more generous towards icons of the Indian right. But then after the 1990s, with the coming of the first NDA government under Mr. Vajpayee, and the way in which Savarkar's importance started getting elevated in the public discourse, his picture coming up in the Central Hall of Parliament, a plaque in his honor at the cellular jail in Port Blair, it was suddenly realized that this force is something that is there to unseat us. And so ever since then, if you see from the 2000s, is when this whole narrative of him being an apologist and all of that has gathered ground in my view. And there too, I've maintained, even in my first volume, where I've included all the petitions that he signed, about 6 or 7 of them, where none of them is an apology to the British. It is a very normal, legal route that all political prisoners of the time had to write to the government, just like you have a bail application now. You were writing to the government to be released, and he was a lawyer, so he knew the tenets of the law. Plus, he was also acting as a spokesperson for all the other political prisoners who were lodged at cellular jail, because there was no point rotting in jail. He was given a 50-year-long punishment, life imprisonment for 50 long years, so instead of being executed. So these petitions that are spoken about as mercy petitions, I don't call them as mercy petitions at all. They're yachika is the word in Hindi, where you're given the agency of filing a petition, just as you can have a lawyer to fight your case. But despite this, all these allegations that I mentioned, did he call himself Veer? Did he write his own biography in a pseudonym? All of these, allegations which have no historical basis or truth, they keep getting hurled at him on and off, only because I think the Congress leadership or the opposition thinks that the best way to get to the BJP today is by attacking one of its ideological forefathers. And this is also the fact to tell, like how Mr. Kharge had, I think in Parliament said, your dogs also did not participate in the freedom struggle. It's almost to appropriate to the party the fact that they are the main custodians of the freedom movement and thereby the legitimate successors to the throne of India. And anybody else who's occupying that is an outsider, a usurper who doesn't deserve to be there. So I think contemporary politics, intruding history, makes Savarkar and many characters like him a big casualty.